Hey guys, this is Mike Martin, and I'm doing this video today to show you some things about the Orange OR15. Basically, I get some emails about what kinds of things that I do and look for when I'm tweaking an amp in the studio and so forth. And my friends at Orange USA were kind enough to lend me this amplifier to do some recent recording, so this is a good opportunity for me to talk about the sorts of things that I do. So the OR15 is pretty cool because it's a one-channel amplifier, so it's pretty straight. It's about as straight as you can get from guitar input to output. Straight from your input, you go into your pre-gain, 3-band EQ, low, mids, and highs, and then your post-gain, which acts as your master volume. It's also got a defeat switch, so you can cut it down to 7 watts instead of 15 watts. It's all guitar, straight in, straight out. So for these purposes today, I'm going to be going straight into the amp with no effects, going into a Glenwood 212 cabinet that I have in an ISO booth with an SM57 on it. And it's loaded with Celestion vintage 30s that have been helitone exercised by Avatar. So for today, I'm going to be using my Ibanez 7-string Universe, so you can hear some of the low-end stuff for you guys who like to detune or use a 7-string or multi-string instruments. This one is stock with DiMarzio Blaze pickups, but I have added a coil tap so we can hear some more of the humbucking versus stratty kind of sounds. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to stay on the 15-watt version of this for today's purposes, and we're going to get into some clean tones right off the bat. So what I like to do is just sort of tune the amp to the guitar. So depending on the kind of sound that I'm looking for, like let's start with something that would be very clean, like maybe more of a jazzy tone. So the first thing I'll do is we'll start with the volume all the way down. I'm going to start bringing up the preamp. I've got the power at about halfway. Maybe give it a little bit of gas. And for today, I'm just kind of leaving the EQ fairly flat. About 12 o'clock on the bass, 12 o'clock on the mids. I'm a mid-range guy. And a little bit of top end, maybe about 1, 2 o'clock. Almost pushing toward 3 o'clock there with the treble knob. Help it sparkle a little bit. So you can hear it's already kind of breaking up a little bit. But it's also very sensitive, so let me back that off just a little bit. It's enough to get some signal. And I might use something like this for something jazzy, like a... to where it'll break up if I'm hitting it a little bit harder. But pretty much stays pretty clean. And then from there, I like to get sort of that Hendrix-y kind of sound. So let me hit the coil tap. You can hear how much that brightens up right there. And then what I like for this kind of sound is to put the preamp back a bit and then turn up the power tubes. And on this one, this amp is still pretty loud at 15 watts, but to crank the power valves all the way up really lets them sparkle. You can hear a bit more of the harmonics on them. And maybe a little bit more preamp just to get them to bite at us. Which is really nice. Also, if you're doing some more heavier rhythm guitars, one of the things I like to do with heavy rhythm guitars is not overly saturated. I'm a medium to low gain kind of guy for some stuff. And if you're using complex chord voicings with a lot of clusters, that'll help you hear the clarity of it. Like that's pretty gnarly. So it keeps very percussive, but you can still, if you pick lightly, you can hear all of those notes dig in, which is kind of nice. And then from there, we start moving into heavier territory. And I find the heavier I want it to get, the more I want to back off a bit of the power amp. So let me raise up the preamp to get somewhere between Malcolm Young and the Scorpions is something that I like for that. Very articulate. You can still hear all of the notes in the chords, get a nice percussive kind of thing without being overly compressed. And from here, I find the more that I want to turn the gain up, the more I want to back off the master volume again. And that'll keep it from getting more compressed as we turn up the preamp, because that's really your amount of saturated distortion. So now I'm getting closer to 12 o'clock on the power amp as I'm cranking up the preamp tubes a bit. One of the things I like to do too is lower the volume on my guitar a bit as I'm going through stuff. I can use the volume as a bit of a swell for the gain. And with that, you can still hear all of the notes, even though there's a lot of those lower subharmonics coming from the low B string and stuff. And then from here, we just start moving into more and more metal territory, where I don't necessarily like to dime the preamp section, but if you want to hear that, you can hear, obviously the noise floor comes up a bit. So it's right on the cusp. Hear my guitar get a little microphonic as well. And for me, I would probably back that off just a hair. Because basically I want it to be, not hear that there's a lot of low end, but I want to hear plenty of the, if I want to palm mute a little bit. That sort of a thing, which might be good for a tune. So you can get into some pretty heavy metal tones there too. And for lead work stuff, with this kind of a sound, I'll go back to the... I like it to be very vocal and warm. So I'm looking for a few things. On the bridge pickup, I'm looking for it to still be a little articulate. And a little compresso for left-hand legato stuff. It stays nice and clean and articulate, but still has, if I palm mute, a little bit of thud to it. And then for neck pickup stuff, I like it to be just very articulate. Or for sweep percussion. Well, thanks for checking out this video. Hopefully that answered a bunch of questions you may have had about the Orange OR15 and things that I like to do when I'm looking for tones in the studio. If you have any more questions about Orange, the OR15, and their line of amplifiers, check them out online at orangeamps.com. And if you have any more questions for me, you can email me at mike@mikemartin.net. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you again soon.